do you have a vision, right? Like, where do you want to see the world be different? And if the answer is very tactical or surface level, I really seek for them to connect something in their life that drives purpose to the business that they're building. Because ultimately, you need to find more motivation than just starting something or making money to really have an outlier business.
Welcome to A Founder's Life. I'm your host, Leo Gestetner, and on this show, we dive into the real stories behind the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and how we pursue a more balanced and meaningful life along the way. This podcast is sponsored by Thankz, helping founders like us scale with reliable remote talent. Email founders@thankz.com, that's THANKZ.com, with the subject line, A Founder's Life, and you'll receive $1,000 off your first month. I'm excited today to be joined by Daniel Sachs. Daniel, great to have you here. Please kick things off by introducing yourself.
Thanks, Leo. Great to be here. And I grew up in a family business in Niagara Falls, Canada. My family had a furniture store on Main Street called Sachs Furniture, and it was started by my great-grandparents in 1908. And it really was the identity of our family. So I saw my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and my dad and my uncles all in the store. And just as I was graduating at the height of the Great Recession in 2009, the store had to shut down after 100 years in business. And it wasn't just the fate of my family's store, it was the fate of many businesses on Main Street. And there was an argument that the future of entrepreneurship looked bleak. However, I visited San Francisco and learned about the early days of cloud and software as a service and thought if we could distribute these cloud applications that are relatively unknown outside of Silicon Valley to the world, then that could enable a new generation of digital entrepreneurs. And we founded AppDirect to help businesses find, buy, and manage cloud software. And fast forward today, the company recently announced that we're approaching $1 billion gross revenue run rate. We have over 1,200 team members. We service thousands of large enterprises that distribute services to millions of businesses around the world.
Wow, that sounds like the business is doing phenomenally well. Great to hear.
Appreciate that.
And talk to us a little bit about some of your journey that led to what you're doing today. You talked about your business today, and this isn't your sort of first venture. So talk about what else you've done.
Yeah. So since founding AppDirect, one of the biggest pain points we recognized was businesses' access to technology. And a few years ago, as there was the transition from cloud and SaaS to AI, I wanted to start a new business that could make a big impact in businesses' ability to drive go-to-market, which is one of the biggest pain points they have. So I recently founded Landbase, which is an AI-driven company for go-to-market, which helps businesses find their next customer. And we've trained and developed the first AI models purpose-built or domain-specific for go-to-market. And we recently announced a 30 million Series A led by Ashton Kutcher Sound Ventures and other leading VCs, including Pickus Capital, 8VC, and many others. So we're really excited about the opportunity we can bring to helping businesses with the biggest pain point, which is their growth.
Excellent. And talk a little bit about family and what that means to you and what family looks like for you.
So as I mentioned, grew up in a family business, and we're really close with my cousins and my family and my extended family. And having moved out to California and starting tech businesses, was grateful to meet my wife in San Francisco. And we now have 2 kids. My daughter is 5 and my son is 3, and they're going to kindergarten for the first time coming up next week. So it's really, really exciting.
It is. Young kids, and exciting to see them head off and make friends at school. And what does health look like for you? And obviously you're living the life right now.
Appreciate that. No, health is very important to me. I'd say for the first 5 to 7 years of my first business, I threw everything into the business to the point that I wasn't working out. I wasn't doing the things I loved, whether that be skiing or running or swimming or even being out in nature. And so I've really spent a lot of time trying to find the balance between work and health and life and all the important things that need to balance. I found that, as an entrepreneur, there is an element of grind in the early days of startup. And I'm feeling that even today, which is having gone back into the startup life. There is that need for that extra push in hours, but I also have the self-recognition to know that if I overdo it, you can kind of fall the other way where it could cause burnout. You can get shorter, you can make worse decisions. And so I'm always very aware of how to find that balance between putting in the hours, putting in the grind when you need to, but also finding time for balance. And I put in place a framework that I used for myself in terms of annual planning and making sure that I set very explicit time away for the things that I need. So as I mentioned, the first 5 to 7 years of my career were a very big grind. I gave up skiing, which was my favorite thing. There was a year, probably 11, 12 years ago, where I said, you know what, I'm going to get 10 ski days in. And that's really important to me. And then after that, it was, let's do a half marathon. And then after that, it was, let's do a triathlon and escape from Alcatraz. And then after that, it became more sophisticated, where I wanted to have goals for mindfulness, goals for physical health, goals for my social life and family life, in addition to my personal professional goals.
And are these goals, like you look at, for example, mindfulness, or you look at your fitness type goals, are they set as a daily goal or weekly goal? How are you setting that?
I spend a lot of time during the holiday reflecting on the goals that I want to set for the next year. And I break them down into quarterly objectives, biweekly objectives, and really try to think about the way I can measure them and make them real. What I have found is that when I become too disciplined about the goals, and if I'm too metrics oriented, like at times I track everything, I have my vitals and I'll do blood draws and I'll have the Oura ring. And I think that having too much data, similar to in a business, it can overload you where you're obsessing with the data and not, there you go, and not thinking about really how you feel. So what I've found in the goal setting, especially with my health and sleep and mindfulness, is to set objectives, but sometimes they're data driven and then sometimes they're totally not. So this year I actually have my health goals are to just like be outside in nature and hike whenever I can, like have the ability to just walk out the front door if I have an extra hour and go do anything in nature, instead of it being a very metrics oriented goal, like run a marathon in less than X, or optimize my REM sleep cycles by Y.
That's a good goal. And I think it's good to have goals in whatever form they take. And I think sounds like you've got some very achievable, realistic goals that allow you to move on the path that you want. And what does
I think it's all about
what's fun look like for you? What do you like to do?
For me personally, fun is really spending time with family, travel. I love travel all around the world, and particularly going to nature experiences. So I've been sailing in Indonesia and diving in Komodo area and Raja Ampat. I've been to the Amazon, spent a lot of time mountain trekking with gorillas or on safari. So I find that those nature travel experiences are very grounding in a time where I can reset, plug, and really truly be myself and be one with nature. And that I find really enjoyable. And then on the flip side, I really love, music. So going to concerts and anything where I can really feel immersed in an activity. I'm a big fan of like global events. So if I'm at, whether it's a sporting event anywhere in the world or a music event, it's just fun to experience different cultures and get out there. So I try to combine, on one side, like health, fitness, or nature types trips, and then on the other side, more fun, entertaining activities.
Sounds like you've got a great mix there. Definitely a balanced life. And what has been a pivotal moment for you in your life or business?
In terms of pivotal moments, I think really it comes down to the moment where you decide to take the risk to jump into entrepreneurship. So for me, one of the most important decisions I made was starting my first business. At the time, I thought I was going to go into investment banking or consulting. I had worked very hard to try to get a job at those firms. It was pretty wild because I was interviewing I think it was like September 7th or something, 2009. So this was just before like Lehman would have gone under and Bear Stearns. So it was a very tumultuous time in the markets. And learning about the cloud services, I really thought like there's no better time than today to start something. And similarly with Landbase, I think a lot of the opportunity can come when there's a big tech transition. So I was grateful that AppDirect was in a very good place. My co-founder took the CEO role, and it gave me an opportunity to start again. And actually, everyone advised me against starting again. It was one of those things where, I have this amazing business. I was really engaged with it. It's growing. It's amazing. But the decision to start again was one that I don't think anyone could have advised me on. But I always felt that if I started once, I wanted to do it again. I wanted to learn the experiences. And it is a very intense experience. I think when I started the second time, I thought this time can be different. I'll bring more balance to it. I'll make sure that I'm not grinding in the hours like I did in the first one. But there is a recognition, especially right now in agentic AI, that there is a race. It is intense, and the time that you put in really results in the hours you get out. And I don't think that's always the case, but I definitely feel that right now. So the decision to start and make something impactful is really mission oriented to me, and couldn't be more excited about the decision.
Absolutely love that. And what's one piece of advice you'd give to an aspiring entrepreneur?
The number one piece of advice I always give to entrepreneurs is have conviction in your vision. I think that business, as you know, there's a lot of ups and downs, and really it comes down to when it's hard, do you get excited about the problems and throw yourselves into them, or do you get discouraged and depressed and it really is very difficult? And I think that motivation needs to come intrinsically by how much conviction you have in your vision. So what I always say if I'm meeting an entrepreneur who wants to start something is, do you have a vision, right? Like, where do you want to see the world be different? And if the answer is very tactical or surface level, I really seek for them to connect something in their life that drives purpose to the business that they're building. Because ultimately, you need to find more motivation than just starting something or making money to really have an outlier business. And all the most interesting entrepreneurs that I know that have seen the most amount of success, they literally, you can see it in their eyes, the conviction they have, the passion they have, and they will not let this thing fail. And they will think of really amazing risks to take in order to make this thing the biggest it can. So ultimately, have conviction in your vision.
Great advice. And how can people find you?
I'm easily accessible on LinkedIn. So Daniel Sachs is my handle, SAKS. I also have a website, danielsachs.ai. And you can reach me if you want at daniel@landbase.com.
Thank you for joining us today. And I loved some of the advice and some of your hearing about more of your journey.
Anytime. Great to be here, Leo.
And thanks for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and please leave a review.